JC24
It is said that evil prevails when good men do nothing. Well, what if you are seeking to do good while being assailed by evil? Is there any hope for you? Is there any hope for the society when good men are seeking to do good while being assailed by evil? Even as we continue our discussion on the great controversy between good and evil, I'm here with Pastor Ian Morris, who, though his profession today is pastor, which means he's a proclaimer of good news, his life has not always been void of bad news. Pastor Morris, thank you for taking the time to be with us today as we get into the gospel, the power of the gospel, and thank you for allowing God to expose you, even as you share with us the power of the gospel in your life. And I want to go right back to that time when evil played a significant part, unfortunately, in your life. You are a pastor today, but you cannot always say that this is the path you would have wanted to take. So tell us a little bit about what happened. I think it was way back when you were 10 years old.
Yes, well, I was 10 years. I think, I guess like most 10-year-old, you'll have challenges and so on. And I started to encounter these supernatural experiences, and encounter with demons where they would be harassing me.
Wow.
And it was something for a 10-year-old, really. I mean, it started with someone threatening,
All right.
and then soon after he threatened, my mother and I started to have these experiences.
Right. At that time, you knew it was demons, or you just felt it was something uncomfortable, something evil? Did you ascribe it as demons were doing it?
Yes, I believe, it's you could sense it,
Right.
There's something about the human being as it confronts evil in the supernatural.
Right.
That you know. And at 10 years, I knew that this was not God. This was the devil.
Right.
I guess the challenge was, how do I deal with the devil?
I'm telling you.
And at 10 years, I started to have these. I would be on my bed. The room would get hot. I wouldn't be able to move, and I could hardly breathe.
Wow.
And I would, after the ordeal, I would be gasping for breath, as if I would I would die, Well, looking back, as if I believe God,
Right.
as I was going through all of those experiences, He wanted me to be alive.
Okay. How long did the ordeal last? How many
Well,
what period are we looking at?
Well, you're looking at the period of between 10 years and 16 going into 17 years.
Right.
So it's nearly 7 years.
And every time the experience came, what was the duration?
But it would seem like it may have been a moment,
Right.
but it would seem like eternity, especially when you're gasping for breath. Sometimes it would be more than once for the night.
Right.
So at the age of 10, 11, you are dreading to go to sleep.
You gotta be kidding me. Wow. Wow.
It's a challenge, I'm chuckling, but it's really sad. It's probably the best
Was it
way
an
to.
experience you shared with anybody? Were your parents aware of it?
Well, I kept most of it, to myself. The intensity, my anxiety, the fear and confusion that I'm going through. I'm keeping this to myself. I'm not even sharing it with my sister, and my sister and I, we were pretty close.
Right.
But sometimes children keep challenges to themselves,
Right.
and unless you enter into their world, you would
Right.
never know.
Okay. But during the experience, did you think that it would ever pass?
Well, at first I thought, well, this would probably end. Probably it was a hope as well.
Right.
But as it started to go on, you know, when you see 1 year pass and another year and another year, you know, it's like you're doomed to this type of harassment.
So you just give up and, you know, just surrender and say, this is going to be my life for the rest of my life?
Well, you know, hope is a funny thing, you know. You keep hoping that this would be the last time.
Okay.
This experience would take place.
But it got worse.
Yes, it
How
got
did it get
worse and
worse?
intensified. Well, it would appear, because I'm looking at my life journey, and the fact that I kept going down myself in terms of the choices that I'm making.
Okay.
So I'm introduced to pornography at 10 years.
Wow, at 10 years?
Yes,
Wow.
at 10 years. There was no pornography at home, not even being buying punch,
Right.
you know. If there's some lady in bikini, you know, my father taking it out, and that type of thing. So it's nothing at home.
By the way, this is a Christian home, right?
Yes, it's a Christian.
Okay. Okay.
So nothing at home, but at school, you're introduced to this, and there was while there was an awareness that this is wrong. I couldn't give you a Bible text or tell you why it is wrong. I just knew it was wrong, but there's a strange attraction to it, and as I'm getting more involved in that, and then later on it's rap and so on. As I'm getting more involved in that, it's intensifying.
Okay.
It's getting worse. Where you know you're being groped now. You're being poked. You're being, you know, like a log is on you, and you know, all things are just happening.
This happens throughout the day or specific times?
Well, it would happen during the night.
Okay.
At first.
Okay.
You know, so in the day you didn't have an excuse to go to bed. You know, you really didn't want to.
Right.
But that's how it happened.
Right. And the pornography continued. It led into other things, I suppose.
Well, since I'm not working anywhere, and I'm living with my parents, the only time you'll experience the pornography was when you're friends. Sure. So when I went to secondary school, there was some guys who would come from the village. You know, these guys were 25 and so on. Like, they have nothing to do. They would come from the village, and they would have. It's now at first at 10 years it's topless. Now it's everything.
Total. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm fascinated by it. But and at the same time, I'm going through a confusion because it's wrong. It's doing something to your mind. I could see it's doing something to my mind. I could see it's kind of darkening my view of life and people and so on. And at the same time, there is something in me that says, you know, why not know God? You know, God is going to give you a beautiful experience.
So let me get it straight. During this period, I mean, were you praying about this apparent harassment? I call it apparent, but I'm sure it's much more than apparent. Were you praying during that experience? Because you were raised in a Christian environment, so one would think that prayer should be more natural to you. Yeah.
Well, it was more. Like a cry for help, you know. You know, if it happens, you say, "Jesus, help me," you know that type of thing. But it is, you did not have a relationship. With God, but you have been going through the motions.
Right. Okay.
And you know, you're fed up going through the motions because of it isn't real. It's just. It's like soy milk, you know, no taste. And so it's a challenge.
I'm sure the manufacturers of soy milk won't be too happy to hear that, but I understand the point. But so in retrospect now, I think you could safely say that there was a direct link between your pornography or your pornographic experience and the demonic experience as well.
Yes, and music as well.
Music as well. Oh, okay.
As I'm getting more into it and so on.
Okay, so you're into music as well.
Well, listening.
Very good.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll get more into music because we are not finished yet with the controversy. It must end on a good note. So stay tuned. Be right back as we continue on this great controversy. Courtesy Pastor Ian Morris. I'm here with Pastor Ian Morris, a pastor today, but a party boy yesterday. And today we are looking at the great controversy as God took him out of darkness and brought him into this marvelous light. Pastor Morris, you were talking about your journey from darkness into light. Tell us a little bit about what happened to you during the mid-teenage life and your experience with the powers of darkness.
Well, I always like music, and my mother always loved music as well. And my father used to play with Song Revolution before there was Song Revolution. I think there was a name change somewhere.
Okay.
And he was the bass man. So perhaps love for music was a part of me.
Right.
I just didn't have an opportunity to play an instrument.
Okay. But you sing?
A long time.
All right.
I gave that.
Well, maybe next time you come back on air, you will see what you can do.
No. That's. I will just do this.
Okay, sir.
And I loved music. And later on, I would listen to R&B and Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5, and so on. But I started to see the evolution of Michael Jackson. He's becoming something, and I'm not sure, and I don't like it.
Okay.
And there was a time when Billie Jean. No, I like Billie Jean.
Right.
The song was infectious.
That's right. Yes, sir.
But they would be wearing all of these pins and
monograms, so to speak.
So to speak.
Yeah.
And my friends would always have this thing and try to have the same colors with Michael Jackson. And I would say, oh, you could be with Michael Jackson, something wrong with him. You
Right,
know?
okay.
And at that time, you had rap coming on the scene. Tupac.
Right.
Biggie Small.
Yeah.
Well, they were more like us.
Oh, come on.
Mean, masculine, yeah. And
I hear you.
And Tupac, not Tupac, Biggie Small, as he sang his song, "Hypnotize." Man, that song was
Hypnotized you.
Yeah, hypnotized. But that song would take you away. I mean, it's a and if you're dancing, and I was into I like break dancing.
Oh, you're a break dancer as well?
My mother, before she became Assembly Adventist.
Okay.
Liked to dance.
Okay. I'm almost tempted to ask you to demonstrate, but because we are talking about moving from darkness into light.
Oh yes.
Let's keep it in the light.
Yes. And my father, well, they had happy feet, they loved to dance.
Okay.
But my father kept away from that, as he became Assembly Adventist, and my mother, it took a little while.
Right. All right.
But I just love to dance, and when break dancing came on the scene, I would practice break dancing, and it was interesting. Sometimes as I'm break dancing, I would just as if when you're dancing, it's as if you're into another realm, and as you're dancing, you start to make moves that you never practice.
Wow.
As if something is naturally taking you over, and you're better than you used to be.
Wow.
And it was exciting to me because I'm thinking, boy, my mind is so creative. I'm just moving instantaneously.
Wow.
But it later on, it's more than that.
Right.
So, but it was a challenge. But as I'm making these decisions, I'm becoming more confused, and I'm anxious. I'm angry. Things are happening. I want to get involved in carnival. I feel I'm restricted. Here. But then again, I felt that the restriction was good for me, and all of these things.
So at what point did God really start to speak to you, or more importantly, at what point did you begin to listen?
Yeah, that's it. Because all throughout, my conscience, God is talking to me. And when someone says something about God or says something about the Bible, something would awaken in me. You shouldn't be saying that, you know. Leave that alone, you know. And God will be talking all the time. And it came to a point where I said, Lord, I'm seeing my father. Yes, he's a Christian, you know. At a certain age, I want to be like that. But you don't seem real. You know, you're real to some people because they're giving testimonies and so on. But how come you're not real to me? If you're who you said you are. And I said to God at that time, I said, Lord, I'm giving you 1 month. I'm just tired. I'm tired of struggling.
You're giving God 1 month?
Yes, I'm giving.
Interesting.
I'm tired of struggling and failing and trying to be a Christian, even trying to be like Daddy. I'm just tired of it. So if you can't come true, because the Bible paints you as a big God, if you can't come true within a month, but then leave me alone, because it's as if it's unbearable.
Right.
And when I said that, I'm thinking, well, what does giving God a chance mean for 1 month?
Okay.
So I did what I saw my father doing.
So your father had a great impact.
He had a great impact, yes.
Okay.
He had a great impact on me. I could remember one time I'm getting all of these feelings inside of me, and I said, you know what? If I could see my father flirting with with those ladies at work, I could be a womanizer. That would give me enough excuse to be a womanizer.
Okay.
So for 2 weeks, I'm watching Daddy as he's relating to the woman and so on.
That's what the Daddy know, eh?
And Daddy, you know, Daddy wasn't flirting, and he you know, sometimes you could see people making moves, you know, on him.
Right.
But he wasn't flirting and all of that. And after 2 weeks, I said, wow, this is. Yeah, I would like to be a father like that. You know, that my son could trust me.
It's amazing because, you know, what you say, a lot of parents do not understand that children are looking at them 24/7 to see what they do and what they do not do.
Yes.
And you were impacted by what your father did not do.
Yes, what my father did not do. And I was impressed with his respect that he showed for women.
Right.
Even when my mother wasn't there. You know.
Okay.
He acted the same way.
Look at that. So you gave God a month. Did it take a month for you to?
Well, I started to read, and I started to read the Bible first, and that didn't go so well. You know, that was like a sleeping session there. I said, you know, it has to have something better than this. You know, let me get something close to the Bible that will explain the Bible.
Oh, okay.
So I went to Patriarchs and Prophets.
Oh, okay.
And I read
That's
about
a supplementary book to the Bible or something, is it?
Well, it's a book written. Yeah, it's a book written by this inspirational author.
Okay.
And Patriarchs and Prophets. As I read it,
right.
I read about Abraham. I read about the fall of Adam and Eve, and I read about Joseph. And when I said with Joseph, I read the chapter of Joseph about 3 times, because I had to go over this thing, because here is a man who had everything. He's beautiful, he is good looking, he's strong, he's everything, and yet he has a beautiful woman throws herself on him. I mean, she almost raped him, and he would just ran away.
Oh, I tell you.
I said, how is this possible? I had to read this again, and when I read it again, something that slipped me came to me. I observed that before he went into Egypt, he made a commitment to serve his father's God.
Right. Okay.
And what commitment does, and the Holy Ghost started to tell me, if you make a commitment, you could be like Joseph.
Right.
So as I'm reading Joseph, I'm seeing myself as Joseph, as he's walking behind the merchants, and my imagination took me away.
All right. And that sort of started to bring you back.
It started my journey, and after I read about David and so on, before the end of the month, as the month is winding down, I said, Lord, Christianity is, I could feel it.
Right.
You know, it is something that I could naturally live,
Very good.
rather than simply learn.
I suppose when God heard you say, give me a month, God must have said, so much? I could do it in a matter of moments, you know. And he did it. He did it for you. Now you're a pastor, Ian Morris.
Yes, yes.
Did you ever think that you would have been a pastor today?
Yes. Well, at 10 years, Pastor Modest is preaching in church, and Pastor Modest, he has a great voice, like yourself, you know.
Stop it now.
He has a great voice. And he says, even as a child, you can hear what God wants you to do.
Right.
You can ask God and you can know it. Just like Joseph, you can get dreams from God.
Right.
And there was an awareness coming over me as he's preaching. And when I went home after lunch and so on, and you know, after Sabbath lunch, you know, some people lay off.
I tell you.
But I am in the living room, and I knelt down and I prayed, and an even greater, awesome sense of knowing, and as if there was the presence of God, you know. Right. That moment of experience that you didn't hear anything.
Right.
You just knew.
Right.
What God wanted you to do.
Pastor Morris, you have a few minutes. We have a few minutes again.
Yes.
If you have to give us one or two reasons as to why God called you into the ministry, despite your checkered past, what would it be? Why did God want Ian Morris in the ministry?
Yeah, well, he wanted me to talk about the epistle according to Ian Morris.
I see.
You know, my experience. He wanted me to tell the world about Jesus through my experience.
Beautiful. And if there's somebody looking at this telecast and saying, I'm going through what you have been through. In fact, I know somebody who would have been through that experience, and they want to know what is it that they must do to get ultimate deliverance. What would you say to that person?
I would say that I was there. I experienced it. I experienced seeing demons around my bed. But I also experienced the power of God when an insignificant life gives themselves unreservedly to Him. You've got to learn how to abandon yourself to God.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Pastor Morris, for taking the time to be with us. I know there's so much more you could share about the past, but the past is past. It's history. What matters now is what he is today as a result of the grace of God. The only antidote I know against the power of darkness is still works. Psalm 91, verse 1. He that dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I call it the 911 of the scriptures. 911. Psalm 91, verse 1. Just dial it right now, and he will give you deliverance.
Amen.
I guarantee you.
Amen.
Thank you for taking the time to be with us today and to know that you can get deliverance if only you surrender your life to Jesus Christ. Why not do it right now? See you next time.